Hi, I'm Mr. DeRoss. I teach history and other things.
Hi, Mr. DeRoss. What are your impressions of Chicago?
Chicago's fun. I like Chicago. I grew up in Chicago. I was out of Chicago when I was in the service for 11 years. I always wanted to come back for many reasons. Now I can't wait to get out of here. Honestly, there's a lot of good things about the place. It's the best eating city in the world. Don't get any better food than in Chicago. You've got every and any ethnicity running around. You can learn a lot, have a lot of fun, but I decide to retire. I think I'm going to get as far away from here as I can feasibly go.
Mr. McNaughton. I teach AP World History and Honors U.S. History here at Lane Tech. I've been here a number of years, and I have some insights on my impressions of the city. This is the greatest city in the world, and I know a lot of people will probably laugh. I've been to a number of cities, and this is a fantastic place. And other places are great, but this is a city of neighborhoods, a city of communities. We have beautiful parks. We have a great history, an interesting history. The architectural history, the sports, but most of all the people. It's a fantastic city of different ethnicities, different races. Sometimes we get along, sometimes we don't, but it's a great place to live. And
How long have you lived in Chicago?
All 18 years of my life.
Since you've lived in Chicago all this time, what do you believe are tourists' impressions of Chicago?
I believe that tourists usually leave very happy, and there's a lot in the city to offer them. Mainly, Navy Pier is a very good attraction since they have that Ferris wheel that a lot of people enjoy, and Jacoby's any trouble. But also there's the Bean, and there are many attractive buildings in the city, such as the Willis Tower, the Hancock Tower, and a lot of good architecture, a lot of good history. So
Having been here all this time as well, I'm sure you're aware of Chicago's reputation for corruption. What are your personal thoughts on that?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if it was happening, but I haven't heard of any myself personally in the city. But obviously, we all know about Illinois corruption, like Blagojevich and Ryan, and governors who are now in jail, actually. And it seems as though it's spread to Chicago as well. I can't say for sure because I haven't heard of anything personally. So.
Have you seen any physical indications of corruption?
Well, there's a lot of violence in the city. I'm not sure if you could blame that on corruption, but it seems possible.
All right, fine. Hi. What's your name?
My name is Shady Billups.
Oh, really?
Yes.
How long have you been in Chicago?
I've been in Chicago 8 years.
Are you aware of any corruption or...
Yeah, people fight all the time. They be fighting on YouTube.
I mean in general, like in Chicago?
Yeah.
Englewood. How would you describe the area of Englewood? Do you believe that it requires much more attention from the mayoral government than it does now?
Of course.
All right, very well
It
then.
has a lot of people boxing in parks and everything. Uncivilized dogs.
What would you describe the police force in the neighborhood?
Very brutal. They're always cautious of people.
Do you believe that Chicago has been a corrupt city since its founding in the early 19th century. However, it peaked during Prohibition, when organized crime was rampant throughout the streets and officers were on the take from the mob. And all this occurred due to corruption within the highest level of the Chicago political machine. And on top was none other than Mayor William Hale Thompson. Thompson is widely considered by U.S. historians to be the most corrupt mayor in United States history. He is also known as a very flamboyant campaigner, and once actually debated against two rats to demonstrate his opponents. Despite his stance on supposedly fighting crime, he actually prosecuted reformers as he believed that they were the real criminals. Eventually, however, he faced severe charges and failed to win re-election against Anton Kermack in 1932. what in particular do you have an opinion on the corruption that takes place in Chicago politics?
Probably the biggest thing I think about it is it takes place because we allow it. We are conditioned to accept a certain level of corruption. In fact, even Royko, as far back as when he wrote the book Boss, I believe it was Royko, said that there was normal corruption. That was the cop taking $5 to let you out of the ticket. And I knew old-time cops that got on the police force in the early 60s. They say, one of them told me, a good friend, says, we always wore a pinky ring, so the guy knew he couldn't bribe you with a 5-spot, he had to have a sawbuck to get you out of things. I mean, that kind of graft.
In terms of corruption, corruption has long been a part of this city. It goes all the way back almost to the beginning. And we have a reputation for corruption in this city, unfortunately. We had guys like Hinky Dink McKenna and Long John, or Bathhouse John Coughlin, and different mayors who have done some pretty interesting things, some of which may have been illegal in the past. So there is a history of graft and corruption in the city. That's probably not as bad as it once was. A lot of people have gone to jail. And unfortunately, people continue to go to jail with the corruption.
My old man told me, he says, you get your driver's license, you put it in a little plastic and put $40 behind it. Why? He says, because that's what it costs you to bail yourself out in case you get a ticket. It's $40. He says, and if the cop takes the $40 and lets you out of the ticket, so be it.
Yeah.
We're conditioned to it. Now, how much are we willing to accept is the question. We all, in the day, knew of old Joe who got a job because he worked the precinct, and we would see his car come back in front of the house at 3:30 in the afternoon. We'd see him leave for work at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we could do that math and find out he wasn't giving the city 8 hours.
Yeah.
But it was okay, because we knew him. That leads to bigger and better things. Eventually we find things we don't want to accept, but it's in a culture that, hey, we look the other way. So as long as we're willing to accept it, the politicians are willing to push the envelope.
Yeah.
To see how much we will accept, and we'll re-elect them. They got caught taking a bribe. So what? It was a little bribe, and it wasn't about anything important. Let's re-elect them.
Yeah. How is
in terms of corruption affecting me, personally, I don't think it. I can't think of any examples. However, when politicians are corrupt, it affects everybody because money is being wasted, and those are our tax dollars. So when they're taking a bribe from somebody to give a company or somebody else an advantage that they shouldn't have, they're wasting the tax dollars of the city. And right now we need all the money we can get. So hopefully there's little corruption going on right now, but the fact is that corruption hurts everybody. And hopefully that when people are doing wrong, that the government will come after them and put them in jail, as they put a number of people in jail. And hopefully the politicians will wisen up, and hopefully, more importantly, the people will wisen up and put in the proper politicians in that won't do this kind of thing.
Yeah. How has corruption affected you?
Well, I think corruption costs us all money. In one way, shape, or form, we're paying for it. We're paying for the 5 guys that lean on shovels. Now, sometimes there's good reason for a guy leaning on a shovel because he's waiting for a piece of equipment to get there. And, the news media, who's generally inept and lazy in this town, will go follow some guy who's been busting his butt all day and then see him doing nothing and say, But they won't go follow some of their favorites that are just screwing around all day and taking the taxpayers' money. There's corporate graft. If you want to look at stuff, there's stuff all over. Go pull the campaign contribution, campaign finance forms for Bill Lipinski. You'll see he's got a $300 club and a $500 club. Amazingly,
anything personal? Like any personal?
Oh, I ran
effects.
Effects.
Oh, okay.
I ran a political campaign, a campaign manager, in a congressional campaign. It was against Lipinski.
Okay.
We noticed this stuff. Is it personal? What do you mean? Outside of my taxes, going for things that I don't like and
maybe
not getting done?
like violence or crime in certain parts of the city. Like, do you feel it has affected you in any way personally?
Political corruption has affected me in that way? No, I think that...
Or not necessarily political, but just corruption or crime and...
Well, crime and corruption is a crime, but not all crime is corruption.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, has crime affected me? I grew up in Chicago. it's a fact of life that there are idiots out there. Now the idiots have better weapons than the idiots did when I was a kid.
Yeah.
We had chains and baseball bats and knives. Now they've got Glocks and, you know,
Yeah.
9mm and beautiful little things.
Wise words.
Yeah, it's just, now I think that takes a lot away. You don't have to look a guy in the eye before you hit him. You just shoot him from afar. You got to look him in the eye before you whack him with a chain or something. It's a little different.
Yeah.
The weapons got better. The crime, same stuff. Yeah, somebody got their garage broke into. Yeah, that's been going on for a while. Somebody got their car stolen. That's been going on for a while. Violent crime is another thing. The problem with that is too many innocent people die. I mean, I have no problem if we send all these bangers to target practice and teach them how to use a firearm so they just kill each other.
Yeah.
It's when they miss that guy and a 4-year-old kid down the block gets killed because this jamoke don't know how far that shell's going to go. Well, I shot at the guy right next to me.